Very often, I rode with the baby in my lap, my breast dripping with milk, my face unwashed, the house in shambles, my maids on strike, and a terrible guilt. But I wrote. When I shut the door, opened the world outside, and turned to the world created by words, I wrote in a broken-down sewing machine. I was beyond the reach of many things, the small despairs that visit the young wife with not too much money but more children than she had bargained for, trying violently to cope with the motherhood she secretly resented, and knowing in her heart of hearts that if she could, she would fly. I speculated on the sense of liberation that such an intransigence must bring on, of going far away to start all over again, with nothing but clean paper and a machine and bare room. All a woman needs to write, another woman said before, is a room of her own.
Since position means perspective, it is important to establish the position from which Filipino women writers in English write. Only then might we understand why they write, what they write, as well as for whom they write. So, for these women, to what socioeconomic class do they belong? What level of education have they attained? And what professional occupations are they engaged in?
Filipino women writers in English. Filipino women writers are not just simply writers who made stories, novels, poems, and inspire others by their stories. They are women with exceptional talents, women with creative minds, women equipped with right words and right terms used to create a very nice novels. Filipino women writers hold bachelor degrees. Many of them have master's degrees and several doctoral degrees. They are products or graduates of leading educational institutions of the country. We have University of the Philippines, University of Santo Tomas, Ateneo de Manila, De La Salle, and of course, our very own Silliman in the South. Supplementing the programs for writers in academe, many women writers have attended creative writing workshops, principally offered by Silliman University. We have Edeth Tiempo and Ophelia Di Malanta, who have been our resident writers at a prestigious international writing program at UOA. In fact, it was Tiempo's studies under Paul Ingle at UOA that inspired her and her husband, Edilberto, to set up in 1962 the Silliman Summer Creative Writing Workshops, which in turn have trained many of the best young writers these last 30 years. It is a note of interest that in turn current program administrator of the international writing programs at UOA is the Tiempo's daughter, Rowena Tiempo Torrevillas, a well-known writer in her own right. To give you more of our writers, we have Angela Manalang Gloria. His first volume of poems by a Filipino woman was published by money from the poet had earned from an abaca marketing business. After that, we have also Trinidad Tarosa Subido and her husband pooled their resources to publish their joint collection, Two Voices, in the year 1945. We have Ophelia Di Malanta with 4 collections of poetry to her name, and Linda T. Casper with a near dozen credited to hers. Jessica Hagerdon's first novel Dog Eaters during the year 1990 was also nominated for the National Book Awards. With their impressive academic credentials, it comes as no surprise that many of them are employed in academe, with a few occupying administrative positions. For many years, Edith Tiempo served as the Dean of Graduate Studies at Silliman, up until her retirement. We have also Virginia Moreno, was director of the UP Film Center, which she helped establish. Presently, Ofelia de Malanta is the Dean of the College of Arts and Letters at the University of Santo Tomas. Like academe, the publishing industry has been hospitable to women writers. Aside from their contributions like feature articles and regular columns, these women writers have frequently occupied editorial positions in various newspapers and magazines. Some of them were freelance, working on a wide range of projects. We have Trinidad Tarosa Subida, the one who wrote The Feminist Movement in the Philippines in the year 1904 to the year 1955, which was commissioned by the National Federation of Women's Club and co-authored by a prize-winning 4-volume series, Panorama of Literature for Philippine High Schools. Marjorie Vasco served for a time as the director of the La Salle University Press. Karina Africa Bolasco, publisher of Anvil Publishing Incorporated. Hilda Cordero Fernando, founder of a publishing house bearing her initials that specializes in Filipiniana. Filipino women writers are highly respectable writers. It's not just because they are Filipinos, but because of the exceptional talents they had.
Village fiction. Predictably, these women tend most of the time to write about middle-class world they know intimately by their experience. Village fiction by Kirima Polotan. Polotan could very easily have been referring to her own highly charged and finely crafted stories. Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo also uses the term to refer to the stories of Hidalgo Cordero Fernando in her review of the latest collection, A Wilderness So Sweet. In this book, a question states, to what extent may Hidalgo's observations about the strength and weakness of Cordero Fernando's fiction be applied to the writings of the Filipino women in English? The answer is, it would have to depend on which writings by which women writings at which time. For even as the role of the Filipino woman writer has evolved through time, and so with the writings, the developments are so dramatic that they invite description as paradigm shift in the female consciousness.
It was during the 60s and early 70s, though its activities, the free movement of new women succeeded in raising the level of consciousness of Filipino women.
The story of Lenosha Rosca, a Balayang farm girl gang raped by soldiers in exchange for the release of her drunken father. Fatima Lim's poem, and a true life story about a Filipina in Tarlac who is chopped down and driven mad by the trauma of abuse while a migrant worker at Kuwait. Lastly, Rosa Magna's Triptych in verse featuring a school teacher in Tono Pan for Jada, a bargain basement Berta, whose remains are shipped home to the Philippines. Filipino domestic and mail order brides are unlucky Cinderellas.
Yes, politicization of women writers affected changes not only in their choices of subject matter but also of medium. While political crisis was at its height, women felt free obliged to act as Filipinos first and as women only after that. But as the political crisis subsided, women felt free to put their specific concern as women at the top of their feminist agenda.